This week on Induction Noise. I plan a quiet evening at home.
We rented some lights and a foam cannon.
Andre raises the bar on car quality.
I remember I had one with actual tires with air in.
Niku loses a close friend.
So my mate went, picked up my wife in it.
And Neil joins a support group.
My wife always laughs at me.
Hi guys, welcome back to Induction Noise. I've got, as always, Andre,
Hello?
Niku,
How's it?
and Neil.
Hello, everyone.
And we're still experimenting with video, so we got some more angles today, I think.
Yeah.
Have we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Niku is our resident videographer. So
Don't give me shit. I'm not professional.
So the idea is that today we release the audio for you guys to listen to, which is a fully nicely edited, all polished version on the audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Play, or Apple Podcast, or Apple Music, or whatever the hell it is.
Your
Whatever
favorite
Apple uses.
Your favorite podcasting platform.
That one.
Yes.
And then a week later, this episode will be on YouTube, fully unedited, just raw. You can see us scratch various bits of ourselves and whatever else it is that we get up to in here. You
In
never
the
know.
Faraday cage.
In the Faraday cage. So today's topic is a little bit of a
Interesting
one for some, for others not so much. But before we get to that, I should mention that we have literally been inundated with an email.
One whole email.
An entire email
Okay.
with signature
Okay.
and headers and then like an official email address and all of that stuff.
Does this guy want to sponsor an episode? By
No, he
chance?
doesn't.
Okay, well.
He says, "Hello, so-called induction noise."
So-called induction noise.
So-called
I don't like
induction
the
noise.
disrespect.
No.
So-called induction.
He is a
What's
bit
that mean?
disrespectful, I must admit.
Yeah.
He says, "I am a 45-year-old IT specialist
That's why he's so disrespectful.
who loves mountain biking.
Yeah.
I'm not an enthusiastic driver,
Like
and
the
I'm
support
looking
of the
for
problem.
reliability over style."
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not friend of mine,
No.
clearly. He says, "I have 500 grand to buy two cars, one as a daily and the other as a lifestyle weekend vehicle."
A lifestyle vehicle. Oh my.
Depends on what your
That's-
lifestyle is, mate.
Yes.
Well, apparently he likes mountain biking, so presumably he
Sitting on things.
fornicates with his cousins or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is it the mountain bikers do these days?
They just like wearing spandex.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Roll around in spandex. Okay, so what should I get? He says. I threw the question at you guys.
An imagination?
Imagination would be a good start, I suppose.
Get off the damn roads that we drive on, please.
So, Andre, what do you think is a good car for our man, or a good selection of cars for our
So
man?
my first question is, so he's saying that he needs, so he's saying two cars for 500,000 Rand, a weekend under. So does that mean that he's got 500,000 to solve those two, to answer that criteria? Or does he need two cars? Like I've got a girlfriend, mother, cousin, someone who needs to also drive in my household? Or that's
Well,
a question.
Unless there was a follow-up email that you
Yeah,
had
I
with
wanted to say,
IT
there
specialist.
was no
you can
follow-up
call him.
email, so
Okay,
it's
so we're gonna
open
say-
to interpretation,
Okay.
shall we say.
So I think he should just get the best possible RAV4 that he can afford for 500,000 Rand and just do everything with it.
What damn RAV are you buying 500K?
And you want to
Fairly
tell
new
him
one,
to
though.
get imagination. Like,
No, it's reliability. Actually, he's wasting our time a little bit because all he needs to do is go to the nearest second-hand car place and say, I don't care what it is. You guys have two cars. One of them should be a Toyota. That's basically
that's
it.
all he wants basically. Like it's
Preferably an SUV, something that's higher so I can put the bicycles on. That's the real answer. But one RAV4, the latest model RAV4 you can afford.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm picking up a little bit of animosity towards the non-enthusiastic driver here. It's like, how dare you not be an enthusiastic driver? You can drive a pile of crap for all I care.
Well, I'm enthusiastically giving him
Enthusiastically giving the best advice you can
non-interesting
possible.
advice.
I mean, what do you call the people that are not car enthusiasts again?
Muggles.
Motoring muggles.
Okay, so we have to put ourselves in the shoes of a motoring muggle for one, basically
hard.
for one question.
Those are not shoes that I can wear.
My brain has just gone numb thinking about it, and I've got the cars.
Is it? Tell us before your IQ drops to 5.
It's starting to hurt so badly. So, for your
Disappoint us.
daily,
Go ahead.
Disappoint us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for your daily, Mr. Stinky IT guy that's 45 years old and has no imagination, you're going to go to a second-hand car dealer and get yourself a BMW i3 because you can get them.
Can you get them for that money?
Let me do a quick search.
No. Don't
But
do this. It's
sure.
going to take too long.
No.
i3s are quite expensive.
Yeah. So
You
saying
can
you should
maybe
just-
afford one, but
I
there'll
mean,
be
I'm
no
not
money
saying
there.
they're any good, but they are quite expensive.
Here we go.
But will you have only that?
No.
Okay, how much is that?
Okay, so
yeah,
you've
so
spent 400k out of
Okay,
your
but
budget
what
on an
mileage does
i3.
that have on actually? By
So it's
an
400K?
68,000
Okay,
kilos.
it's okay.
So it's 400k and he needs to replace the battery next month.
I mean, he didn't
This is
ask me
500.
for. No. It's fine.
So what are you doing for 100k then?
So then, what you gonna go do?
The mountain bike.
You can probably do that as well, but go to the 90s, and if you are good at haggling a bit, Mr. IT guy, get an old Land Cruiser with like 500k on clock. Otherwise, you go get yourself a Nissan Patrol for about 110 grand.
So wait, so it's the
And you'll be fine.
i3 for the daily?
The i3 is the daily, and then
Okay.
the Patrol or the Land Cruiser will be the lifestyle thing where he can put his bicycle on and do whatever the hell he
but
wants.
does
to.
it have Apple CarPlay, the Land Cruiser?
He didn't. He wanted a lifestyle vehicle, not a fucking.
He's
look at
an
me vehicle.
IT specialist, right?
Well, if he's an IT specialist,
Maybe
he
he
should
wants to
think
get
of
off the grid.
putting his own radio in the bloody thing.
Not a mechanically minded person, but he's...
Well,
I'm not against
the
that
thing
choices,
I
actually.
see,
I quite like that.
I'm quite with Nico on this one. If I'm an IT guy, right, and I'm
there's-
looking for something to drive
not bad.
on the weekend,
Yeah.
I want something to get away from the IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, something like an old
not bad.
cruiser or whatever.
So if
that,
you
that
can bargain
work.
that down,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
instead of haggling. And,
No,
yeah, a
that's
little
true.
bit of haggling.
Cruiser can
That's-
work because it'll last forever.
Yeah,
Nobody will
exactly.
steal it.
Nothing will happen with it. You can
And all the money that you save during the week driving the i3, the petrol money, you will
for
use.
the cruiser,
You will
exactly.
use on the cruiser.
You will use on the
Exactly.
cruiser.
Okay, that's
So I
actually not a
feel
bad
like
idea.
that's a top
So
tip.
it's actually unanimous.
I actually think shit like your idea is better than mine. Actually,
Spot on.
I think you made that spot on.
But we still want to hear your idea.
So I went extremely boring. Actually, not the one is not that bad. So for a daily
So
driver,
which Camry is
I
he
went
getting?
for electric.
Is it the Gen 1 or the Gen 2?
I felt adventurous and I went to buy a Passat. Actually, like that. So for a daily, I thought in general, this guy doesn't really care about something. In my mind, he didn't care about actually something quite cool. Actually, something like a Land Rover or a Patrol is actually quite like that age, quite cool. I thought this guy doesn't care about it. He probably, his bike is more expensive than his
100%.
car.
100%.
He probably has a road bike stash somewhere as well. So I thought for a daily, you buy like a second-hand Kia Rio, light on fuel, easy to maintain, petrol engine, 1400. You can buy like a second-hand Tech they go roughly 180, 190,000. And then for more lifestyle-orientated vehicle, I actually thought Renault Duster, 1500 diesel.
Renault Duster.
I quite like the Duster.
Aren't they too close? A Renault Duster. I don't know. I'm still sticking with my original one. I'd rather have one. I'd rather take that money, put it together, and buy a RAV4 because it's better than both a Kia Rio as a daily.
Yeah, but
and it's better than a
that's
a
how
Duster.
you interpreted the brief. I interpreted the brief as it is.
You have
and I
to
would
have
have
two cars.
you wanted
Okay.
two cars, so that's the.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have also just settled for one. Like I agree with that, but if you wanted two,
But you wanted reliability,
not-
though.
that
Reliability above
1500
everything.
The 1500 is not. I mean,
It's a Renault, dude.
the 1500 diesel is fairly. Is that not something that was co-developed with Nissan as well?
It is a Nissan motor, but it doesn't scream reliability, though. Like I wouldn't,
not
Duster
it.
wouldn't.
I think it would be a
Dusters are
reliable enough.
fairly
I would
reliable.
rather-
I know people who have them who say that they're reliable and they just don't die, but you kind of wish it would.
But you're clearly not the 45-year-old IT guy who sent us this email, basically.
The 45
No, I'm not.
I think I would think it's brilliant because it's not interesting at all.
So
You can fit a mountain bike on the roof. You put a roof rack on it. It goes everywhere. There's
You
four-wheel
can go over a
drive.
pebble.
So what about a bucky? What about
I would-
a used bucky, a used double cab
I would, Frank,
for the weekend?
just for one.
You can get all the bikes on the back, and then just buy like a
You can have a second
Corolla or a Yaris or something for the.
You can swap it other way around. Get like an early 2000s Hilux 2.7.
No, but the Hilux is going to be stolen. The
Yeah, but
same
still,
guys.
you said you wanted to have a bucky. You didn't specify you don't want a bucky minus a Hilux, basically.
Well, it's the same as Niku's E03 BMW. It will get stolen before you get back. You'll go. You'll go on a nice bike ride, and when you get back, there's no bucky, and you'll just ride.
It will basically be on a spinning somewhere.
Yeah,
and a
it
spinning
has been
back
stolen.
Yeah.
It has been stolen and dumped already, and you've already gone and fetched it again for the 100th time.
You just basically look where the smoke clouds are turning.
Exactly. And
Basically,
Actually-
you just know you need to get new tires and you sort it again.
Actually, how about a Prado? An early 2000s
That's
Prado.
like drowning in wallpaper paste.
No. It's a proper 4x4. It's much cooler than a Duster, dude.
A Prado can work. I would agree
Prado
with the Prado.
V6. Prado
So-
V6.
I approached this differently. At first I had Andre's idea, and I thought you get one car that does it all. Buy a station wagon, it's perfect. But
Or a RAV4.
then I thought to myself, this
you're
guy
not
is
a mountain biker if you want to buy a station wagon. Then.
Why not?
Yeah.
Do you know where the trails are? You guys are not mountain bikers, I guess, right?
I used to be, but it's boring. So
But here's the
I
thing,
have a
right? So
mountain
I
bike.
figured if a station wagon can do everything, and this guy's not an enthusiastic driver, and we are giving him car advice, it is our responsibility to give him something that inadvertently
well,
will awaken his
the
inner petrol head.
enthusiasm. I see what you're doing.
You see,
I see what you're
Spoken
doing.
like a man
So-
who read this email and thought about it a lot before sending it to us to get our choices, basically.
Forwarding it to us.
Forwarding it to us, basically. And
yeah, obviously. So, here's what I think you should do. For the first 300k of his 500k budget, go out and buy a Corolla or a Golf.
Something reliable. And
Something reliable, steady,
anonymous.
boring, the kind of thing that a photocopier salesman would be driving up and down in. And then for the rest, go out and find yourself a nice V6 bucky. Because even the most unpetrol head person driving a V6 bucky off to some mountain biking trail, the first time that thing wags its tail out and goes vroom, he's gonna go, "Whoa, that was kind of fun."
He's gonna
I'm
end
gonna
up-
do that again.
I wanna do it again.
or the first time it does it, he's going to end up in a ditch with his brakes
No, I
on
want to say
falling off the back.
there's two
But you
sides.
see, the thing is,
Well, both are exciting options, though. It's not
promise
going to be
you-
boring.
you would probably know this because I'm guaranteeing you've done this. A bucky is the easiest thing to drift.
Yes,
I mean,
because there's no way.
My grandmother could drift a bucky.
100%.
so which one? So I guess, you've got an affiliation with, you had an Isuzu V6 yourself.
Okay, the Isuzu V6 was nice, but I will be the first to admit it is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever been in my entire life.
This is supposed to be the more comfortable among the
No,
buckies.
that thing was awful. It was rock hard.
Then you shouldn't drive a
can-
Toyota of the same age.
you can get like maybe a little bit stretched. You can get a 4-liter V6 Hilux or a Navara.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
No,
Single
they-
cab, yeah.
Now that my brain is not hurting about thinking about uninteresting vehicles anymore, I've had an idea for Mr. IT Man.
Yeah?
I know of a golden Jag station wagon that is for sale for 500k and can be used for anything in the world.
This is a brilliant idea.
That's
I think
not a
this is
bad
what
idea.
you should do.
If you look carefully, you may just
If you
find a
look
lost
carefully,
wallet in there with 500 rand in it.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I seem to have I seem to have
Misplaced.
misplaced my wallet again. But
That's not a
yeah,
bad
I
idea.
think that's probably the best advice we can give him. He can buy my Jag station wagon for 500 grand.
Yeah, but
Or
you
my
know,
idea with the i3
You know
and the
what?
Land Cruiser.
We give good advice, right? So for
I like that
500k, he can get both a used golden Jewish
Jag.
Racing Gold Jag, and he can also get an original 1996 RAV4 with a cone filter. He can get both of those for 500k.
There we go.
Then he's got two cars.
There we go.
But obviously,
He's
the
got the
Jag
Jag
being
for
more
the-
prestigious, that would be like 300k
Exactly. But
out of the
that's for
budget.
during the week, you know, so it's more prestigious driving around. And he's got a RAV4 for the lifestyle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fair play. So, on to today's topic. We're going to be talking about the cars that we went to our matric balls in, cars that we have driven to matric balls, and wedding
Matric
cars.
balls in general.
Just matric balls and weddings.
Yeah.
Balls and weddings. Weddings and
Weddings and balls.
Perfect.
Weddings and balls. It's that kind of
Weddings and
podcast
balls.
today. But before we get into the matric balls, farewells, weddings, and all manner of other special events, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, Master Panelbeaters. Master Panelbeaters is a major structural repair center, which for the uninitiated means they can do more than just replace panels on a car and make it look pretty. They can actually pull the structure and the frame of the car to straighten it out back to factory specifications and then replace the little twisted bits and things that attach to the frame. And they will do that with really high-tech equipment, spot welders, all the funny things that manufacturers actually use in the factory so that it is done to factory specification, which means all your crumple zones and things will still be intact. Your car will still perform and feel the way that it's supposed to as it did from the factory. And speaking of factories, these guys get audited every 6 months to make sure that their equipment, their workmanship, their facilities, everything is up to the standard that the manufacturer would expect and demand it to be at. To give you an idea of some of the major manufacturers that trust Master Panelbeaters to work on their cars, we're talking about names like Toyota, Ford, Honda, Kia, Hyundai, Mazda, Suzuki, Renault, Isuzu, and pretty much anything else you can mention. They will be able to fix it for you. So if you've got any structural repairs that need doing to your car, any cosmetic stuff that needs repairing on your car, speak to Steven and his team at Master Panelbeaters. You can find them on our Instagram page, our Facebook page. We'll mention them on the website as well. They've got their own website and Facebook pages that you can find their details at. But chat to Master Panelbeaters and they will get you sorted out. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode.
Starting the ball, babe.
I can start off this conversation pretty quickly by saying I didn't have a matric ball because I wasn't in matric. I was at a school in the UK
Some or other level.
where matric does not exist, and I did my A-levels there.
Therefore, the ball does not exist.
We had a levers ball. It was a Hawaiian luau.
Okay.
Hawaiian luau in the UK.
yeah.
Is there even enough sun in the UK to make a Hawaiian
Did you
luau?
rent the light system, the sun?
We rented some lights and a foam cannon. It was brilliant.
Awesome.
And I drove myself to that in my Honda Civic.
Okay.
So,
Honda Civic?
Yeah.
Solid choice. When those on those Oz wheels, nice.
Yeah, OZ wheels, Remus exhaust,
Nice.
There we go.
Okay, well that's
40
a solid
kilowatt
choice.
motor, and a 500 kilowatt sound system. It was
And
excellent.
a 5-liter keg of beer in the boot.
No, there was no beer in the boot. I don't drink and drive. Disgusting.
I didn't say you're drinking and driving.
was
I'm
for
just
the-
saying
it was
you're
for the
drinking
after
once
party.
you get there.
And
Well,
weddings?
yeah.
You drive- what did you take to your wedding? What did you drive to?
So, to my wedding, I drove my 1999 Jag XJR. So I drove that to the venue, drove myself there. Nicole arrived in a highly modified 1937 Chev.
Okay,
Hot
bit of a hot
rod,
rod.
nice.
Okay.
But not just a hot rod, guys. This thing, so a friend of mine and his dad built this car. And what they did was they take the original 1934 Chevy and they cut it in half. Top down, straight down the middle, front to back. Cut it in half. Then they made a piece of bodywork that would go into the middle of it, a band that would go into the middle to widen the entire car.
Wider.
Yeah, to make it wider, because the original car was quite narrow. So they widened it, chopped the roof so that it lowered the window line a little bit, put nice interior in it.
Sled.
Very, very nice interior in it. It had, I think it's a 350
Heavy
V8 in it, auto box, beautiful wheels on it, and it is pink, but like in your face pink. So Nicole was driven in that, and it's quite loud, so it was quite fun because everyone's sort of sitting outside at the venue.
And they all look around.
Everyone looks back at this thunder coming down the road, and here comes this bright pink Chev down the road. Cool. And following it was another classic Chev with all the bridesmaids.
Okay.
So that was a 1957 Chevy.
Nice.
The actual car that I featured in my very first ever Carbs and Coffee column that I wrote back in the day. So if you go back on my columns, the very first 57 Chevy article that I wrote, that car was the other car for our wedding.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
That's interesting. Very muscly of you.
The rest of the wedding was a disaster. I mean, the catering sucked, and the lighting was off, the venue was rubbish.
Did you
but
guys?
The cars I got right.
Did you guys go on? Did you guys go on honeymoon straight afterwards?
No. So,
or whenever you did go, what car did you use?
We got married in December, so we knew that everywhere was going to be busy. It's a crap time of year to go anywhere because everything's just too crowded and it's expensive and blah 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 blah. So we actually took my Jag to the guest house where we booked into for the night, and then the next morning we went from Stellenbosch to the Franschhoek Car Museum. So my wife's kind of awesome. She said, "What a
honeymoon! Wow!
Our first day as a wedding, as newlyweds, we went to the Franschhoek Car Museum.
Sure, okay, that's cool.
Shop around there.
Wow!
That's,
and we were driving in my Jag. Nice.
Well done, Mrs. Q.
Yeah. So what did you go to your matric ball in?
My matric ball.
We used
matric ball.
No, actually not. It was also white and mid-sized sedan though. We used my granddad's BMW at the time.
That 3 Series you wish you bought.
3 Series, yes, that's exactly that one.
The 320D.
320D, like that's. I mean, for us, it wasn't the cars that you brought wasn't such a big deal. It was more about the partying afterwards. So, there was not really too much of a shindig about whatever car you brought. That did the job quite.
The 3 Series was quite a fancy car back then. Still.
Yeah, it was fine. Nice. It was like like down, straight down
now
the middle.
It's just a pair of nostrils with a car attached to it.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Then I actually drove a few other people for the. I was asked here and there, in a small town, like help out. Can you drive this car for? And I actually funny enough another 3 Series, but it was a 316 E90. Which was, I remember then was horrid. It had no power.
That thing is
316.
I didn't even know that you got a 316.
Yeah,
it's a 3-cylinder.
No.
That was
E90.
The E90.
It was a 4-cylinder.
That was a 4-cylinder, I think 1600 or 1800, something like that.
Yeah,
or was it a detuned 2 liter?
No, it was a 16 or 1800. I can't remember.
It might have been
a
318 though, but I'm pretty sure it was already.
You definitely got a 318.
The 318 was a 2 liter 4-cylinder.
But this was I remember someone bought it brand new in Canada. I mean, I was into cars back then, and I thought to myself,
seen a 316 on that.
Why would you? Maybe it was a 318, but it was manual.
Anyway, it's not a very exciting engine.
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And I mean, at that time, I've driven my granddad's.
They used to call it the BMW 316 Start. That's what they called it.
It was something like that. But I need to go check it out. We had like these small 15-inch rims. 15-inch rims.
These balloon tires.
And it was, not that I had a lot of space, but I had to take the people between. You're going to take pictures there, and then I had to put it around. So there was some time for me to just go up and down the road and just feel what it feels like. And it was ridiculously slow.
Yeah.
It was so slow. That. I mean, you talk about like bogger standards, like that's crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, let me try and think. Yeah, I mean, then there was probably a few cars in between. My wedding, and funny enough, before I got married, my sister asked me to take her in to take her to the church where she got married. I mean, they all know what big part the Z, what a heavy part of my life it is. So I took her to the church in my car. In the
that's
Z.
cool. That's very cool.
And the day my wife and I got married, like also driving from the church to the reception, we used my car. So we didn't have like someone chauffeuring us around. I said like I wanted to drive us.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I mean, that's also one of the first things we did. Like, we went to look at the car, the Z together.
Yeah.
And then we bought it.
That's cool.
Or I bought it at the time. And then for our honeymoon, we found out we bought a car together before we got married. So we bought the X1 together. So we needed something actually, lifestyle-y. We wanted something,
You're the 45-year-old IT guy, yeah?
Yeah, similar to that. So we're both we're both into mountain biking quite a bit at that time.
Okay.
And then we used the X1 as
Spandex enthusiast.
Before you discovered scootering.
Scootering, yes.
Is it scootering or scooting?
Scooterist. I guess I'm a scooterist who enjoys
Scooterista.
Scooterista.
Who enjoys scootering, who drives riding. I don't know what you call it.
Scooterista.
Scooterist.
Scooter. It sounds like you're a tourist.
But
mate.
yeah, we actually then, I mean, we bought the X1 as mainly my wife's daily driver, and we use it now and then if you need to put more stuff in the back of the car.
Or the dog.
Or the dog, now that needs to go in the back of the boot when he
I
goes.
don't think my dogs would fit in the next one.
No.
Yeah, no, they
You
won't.
need an X7 for your dog.
Yeah, I think for your dogs,
I need like a Ford F-150 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
the
that's for one dog.
The F650 heavy duty.
Yeah.
And that would be for one dog, not
But you know what
both
I
of
actually
them.
really want to do one day? Just completely off topic. I want to get a little Nissan 1400 Bucky. And I want to put my dogs on the back of it. Because I think it would be the funniest picture.
But you wouldn't be able to
take.
get away, dude.
You're going to wheelie
No,
the
it's
entire
just going to
time,
stick its nose in the air and sniff around. But
So I once saw this. So one of my mates here he actually stays in Strand. Old Jock. He's a big alpha guy. So he once
Naturally.
so on Facebook, so he took this pic of this old Sunny of this old Oma. He's driving a Uno Fire 1100, the 3-door.
Yeah.
And there's a big dog sitting behind her barking in the car. And she's got earmuffs. It's this old lady. She looks to me like 80 or something. She's driving. The dog
He's
is
like going boss.
He's barking his nuts up at the back. And she's got like proper, like a driving, like a shooting range.
shooting range defenders,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
classic.
yeah, you probably need some of those. If you
Something
put,
like that. Jeez.
that's brilliant. Nico,
No.
what did you go to your matric ball? First of all, have you finished matric yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I didn't try two times.
Did you get it first time round? That's
yes,
amazing.
Yes,
You
yes,
always
I
get
got
things
it.
right the
So
first
So
time, second
you were
try.
better at matric than you are at driving.
Yes. Anyways. Yeah, so in Bloemfontein, the matric farewells was quite a big thing.
There's not much else to do than drive.
No, there's not much else to do, and
That's
you've
like the
got
one day of your life that seems worth living.
yeah, and you've got like the two big schools there and whatever. So
You're going to get lots of fan mail from Bloemfontein.
My car is bigger than yours.
we had someone staying down the road of us. His name was Few. He's unfortunately passed away, but he was a very, very interesting guy. I always saw him drive a classic Mini up and down the street, or an old Chevy pickup like a C10. And I was wondering, what does this woman do? And then the one day my dad said, no, he used to have a Testarossa, a white Testarossa. He doesn't know if he has it still, but he used to have a white Testarossa and a few other cars. And I thought, well, okay, look, my matric farewell's coming up, so let me just put a note through his gate. Tell him, listen here, I'm this. You are your cars out for matric farewells or whatever. Eventually he got back to me after my dad said, listen here, just don't get your hopes up because the woman is not the nicest.
But eccentric.
A bit of a funny, he's almost like that. He needs to decide he likes you.
Okay.
So he rings me up. He says, come take a look at the cars I have. went in, and if you looked at his house, he had quite a big house, but you wouldn't expect there to be an entire barn in his house, next to his house. So I walked in, and there's this long ass barn, probably full of like close to 30 vehicles.
Oh.
And each vehicle in there had a story. So, for example, his old like 1930s, I don't know, Chev something was his vehicle when he got married. And then there's like these Russian vehicles where the people actually drove it from Russia down to Cape Town, and they were so gutful, they didn't want to drive it back, so they told him, listen, if you buy me a plane ticket back to Russia, you can keep the vehicle. So he did it.
Those mail order cars from Russia.
Yes, exactly. So each vehicle had like a weird story. So the two vehicles you recommended to me, which was quite nice recommendations, is E-Type.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
That's a nice
V12.
recommendation, yeah.
Nice.
And Porsche 356.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
In this nicely refreshedly, it looked like it was freshly sprayed, but it was like as original as could be, red. And I still remember when I was small, Need for Speed brought out the Need for Speed
Porsche one,
Porsche
yes.
one.
Yes.
And you
And
remember
your
on
license
that,
had to start with a 356.
356.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what, I want to go with the 356 just because of that.
Yeah,
That was my favorite Need for Speed game of the time.
that was
It
very
was good,
cool.
eh?
I spent time getting those licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And funny enough, so the story of this 356 goes, it was a surgeon in Germany's car. And not what surgeon, he was a heart surgeon. And he just bought this vehicle and he started restoring it as a nuts and bolt restoration back in like early 2000s. And just as he finished up the restoration, he passed away while operating on someone's heart and had a heart attack.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
So,
Well, that's gotta be like the worst luck ever.
exactly,
Yeah.
like to a heart surgeon, you're in
That's
surgery
the worst
and
luck
you get a heart
ever.
attack.
Like, you
I mean,
ju-
imagine you're
the
there.
worst luck, you just restored your Porsche and you don't get to use it.
No, I mean, like
yeah.
you're sitting in the waiting room, and your family member's on the operating table, and the nurse comes running out, and she screams, "Is there a doctor? He's had a heart attack." It's like, what?
That's what you get, exactly.
I'm sorry, we tried everything, but the doctor passed away.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
that's a
so that was my
That's pretty
matric farewell.
hardcore.
It was quite cool,
Sure, that's
and that women was super nice. Like I used to, every time I worked on a vehicle outside of my house, he would like pop in, check like, hey, how you doing? Like, you coming right with this? He used to loan me like batteries for my Renault because it was a 6-volt system. And I was
Yes,
struggling
that's obviously a Renault. I mean, you wouldn't have to work on Alphas outside
you know
your
exactly.
home,
I know exactly. No,
Thought
no,
it was
no,
a
no,
Renault.
never.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was my matric farewell. My
You didn't have the Testarossa anymore. But
No, we
what
didn't
else
have
did you
the
have? Anything else that was
Testarossa.
quite interesting? I mean, having
yeah,
an
like
E-Type.
there was a few different Porsches that he had, and then he had like a BMW 635 Ci or what's
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah.
I think it's a E39
CSI.
or something like
it's
that.
E32
Something like
or
that.
E31 was the coupe.
Where's Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Is that the one that came out with the race in the,
He
in
had
the
a-
Jägermeister livery?
Yes.
The orange.
He actually had a very nice Porsche 928, very close to the spec you guys have on the showroom
Is
now.
there such a
Okay.
thing?
928. Porsche 928.
No, is there such a thing as a nice
Oh, what?
Sorry, no
And-
disrespect to the 98 owners. But
He had
Well,
quite
well-
a few Jeep Woodies. You know the
Oh, yeah, the Woody
the
Wagons.
Wagoneers.
Wagoneers. Yeah, he
Okay,
had
that's
quite
quite
a
cool.
few of them. So he was a big off-road guy. He drove
Okay.
in the Dakar a few times, but like
wow.
entered his own team with his sons, not like professional
the-
team or something like
the
that. He
Amateur
more the
kind of
amateur,
side.
yeah. So
Oh, well, anybody
so-
that enters that in any
Yeah.
with any team is kind of
So
crazy.
one of his work buckies that he still had was this box-shaped Hilux, almost like the one Top Gear had, and he entered that into Dakar. They did the Dakar with that vehicle 3 times, and
Wow.
was still working as a workhorse.
Well, you could
with.
do the Dakar with a diesel Hilux for sure. You're just gonna have like a kidney replacement when you're done.
Yeah.
And
But
you're
it-
also going to lose the
Yeah.
race to the guy in the RAV with
Yeah.
the cone fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Hilux will survive it for sure.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get stolen somewhere in some war-torn country on your way there.
Yeah. So he had very quirky cars. He didn't really have anything that was like supercar, other
for
than the
E-Type.
Yeah, except for the E-Type and then the Testarossa that he sold also.
But I like collections like that sometimes
it's-
more than someone that
you know,
It's
would
an
have
interesting
a-
collection. It's
Yeah.
not the obvious things. Oh, he's got a this and he's
Yeah.
got an E-Type and he's got
And I
a this.
like cars with stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, right? Every car had a story. I mean,
That's
even
very
the Seto Baba that was standing there had a story. But
yeah,
but
see the Bobo, like the Bobo
Yeah,
car.
yeah, the
That's
Seto
cool.
Baba car, yeah.
Those
So
are stories on their own. Those are just
it's
so cool.
crazy.
yeah.
You could speak to that oak for hours, and
That's cool.
something else he loved doing is painting model cars and creating model cars.
Oh,
He
nice.
was
Don't give
It
Neil
was-
any ideas. He's already got a toy
He'll be
car
in
problem.
Checkers next week.
I'm trying to
Next
stop
moment-
that now. Like,
Next moment, he's painting Jagermeister liveries on his little BMW.
So Neil, have you tried slot car racing? Because I've got a
Don't
proposal for
encourage
you.
him, bro. He's got enough.
Listen, slot car racing is actually one of the things I miss the most about Bloemfontein. It was one of the
But
things
there's-
that we
there's the
did.
thing, yeah.
we had
I
a
know,
track in
but
Caledon actually as well. I remember
everyone
seeing
here,
that. Like, it's awesome. So
We should
everyone
maybe
here
all get
takes
together
it
and go
so-
slot car racing.
Yeah.
one
We
night.
must
quite
go
cool.
to like
I
there's.
have an entire case of slot cars, etc.
But
I've got a
isn't
few
there-
grand for slot.
So remember the cheap ones had like solid wheels.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like plastic with a bit of rubber over it. But I had one with actually had wheels with air in it. So if you go faster, you'd actually see the wheel go.
You know
up.
what?
Yeah.
We talked last time about cheap. Okay, not that it's pure motorsport, but it's something I would be actually quite cool to go check it out. See like what the
I love
Yeah,
it, dude.
and
I
the other
used
thing
to-
is
tournaments are
radio,
like-
radio control cars. That's
Yes.
also when I
Radio
was a kid,
control
I
cars.
loved
Yes.
it. I absolutely loved it.
So-
I had
But
a
some of those radio controlled cars are
They
stupid
super
fast.
Yeah.
I had a grasshopper. I had a Tamiya grasshopper, which
Oh,
is like
yes,
a
I
little
remember.
Sandmaster.
yes,
Now those things are worth
yeah,
big money. Those old
Yep.
cars.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I loved that because I would have loved a go kart or a bike or something, but I
Yeah.
couldn't quite afford that, and I think my parents maybe
That was a
wouldn't have
close
wanted me
second.
to. But that was so anything with cars. I had a Scalextric thing that I saved for.
Exactly.
I had
We
some
still-
Lego car thing.
we still have like my dad still has one that he built at Tamiya, but it was a 1/10 scale Toyota 4Runner
Oh yes,
that you had to build, and you had to like it had the
Yes.
oil shock, and it
Yeah.
works. It's still
Yeah.
standing
Yeah.
in his study.
Yeah,
it works.
those things are
Works
lovely.
fine.
I've got one or two RC cars at my house still. I actually started with that
You've got the Red Bull.
the
thing.
Red Bull thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then a mate of mine whacked it into a sidewalk, and
As you
apparently
do.
they worth quite some money now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Collector's thing.
But yeah,
Especially
the-
now with the success of Red Bull.
exactly. But the slot car thing, I used to so probably for the past when I was in Bloemfontein for like 6 years, every Thursday night I used to go slot
That's
car racing. It was, and we had an entire system, and I used to go
Cool.
in Joburg as well when I went to visit Joburg. And I'm scared Cape Town is going to be like that because then it takes the fun a little bit away out of
Too
it.
competitive or what?
It becomes so competitive that they take your car. So in Bloemfontein, we rode on wooden
Yeah.
tracks, not the plastic tracks,
Yeah.
because you actually have to do throttle control. You know,
Yes.
you can actually slide your cars.
It's more
etc.
difficult
It's
to-
more difficult. It's more
Yeah,
of a skill.
challenge.
Where in Joburg they used plastic track, so you
With
had
grip
a
and-
magnet. So and then you can put as many magnets in as you want in some classes, and then other classes they literally take your car and they put it on a little scale where they weigh how much downforce your magnet gives you. Otherwise, you're disqualified.
Yeah, that
Like-
sounds
like
a bit
it became
serious. I didn't
crazy.
realize
So-
that there was this layer
No,
to
dude, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the
serious.
trick is when they take it off and they put it on the scale, they weigh the downforce, right? But what if you put an electromagnet in the car?
Ooh.
Because the
Yes.
minute you put it on the track,
A
that
tiny little
electromagnetic.
electromagnet.
just
Yeah, they
becomes-
Yes.
Anyway, so what
Yeah,
car did you go to your
so-
wedding in?
So my wedding is
Oh yeah,
one-
what are we talking about that again? Like, what are we talking about?
So
We got sidetracked there.
my wedding is one of the cars that's basically my second dad to me, basically. Quibus, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
Quibus. He has a Triumph GT6, which is one of the most beautiful cars that's made. It's really a stunning car for me personally,
It isn't generally accepted as a good car.
but it's
But
a
it's
stunning
a-
car.
it's
it
a-
sounds so nice. It's got a gurgly, you know. It's almost like, imagine an affordable E-Type, because it's also got the long bonnet with the sloping rear end. It's got an inline six, so
It's a
it
real
has
kind of
that
British-
yes, it's got that real British.
Mid-level sports car.
And I used to drive the car a lot, and I just told him this is the car that I'm taking to my wedding. No questions asked. Just came, pick it up, and washed it. I had to teach my mate to drive it because I couldn't go pick up my own wife.
Yeah.
So I had to go teach my mate to drive it. And if anyone's driven an old British car, first gear is where third is.
Well, he still drives one.
And
That's my daily.
first gear is where third is. Second gear is where second gear should be. Third gear is in between third and fifth.
So it's like riding these 18-speed trucks with the...
Yes, exactly. You kind of feel it out.
Yeah.
I
And
can't remember. Is that car got one of those Moss gearboxes?
with the overdrive switch on top of it that goes.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah, that it. You know how sometimes when you're driving a manual car, you get that motoring journalist cliche, the rifle bolt action.
Yes. Yes.
So the Moss gearbox isn't quite like a rifle bolt. It's more like stirring a bucket of coal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a bit like a early
With a wooden
80s,
spoon.
like an early 80s Alpha or a late 70s
Yes.
Alfetta with the rear gearbox. It's like it's a bit like
and using
like,
shoestrings for
it's a bit like
gear
if you
cables.
put like a big spoon into a bowl of porridge. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like.
but like with a couple of rocks in
Yeah.
there as well, you know. Just
But if you got on that thing, it was fun. If you got the hang of it and you knew how to drive it, it got super fun. It was really, really a nice car.
Nice.
So my mate went, picked up my wife in it after I taught him how to drive it, and he told me he's not doing it because he's going to break the car and I'm going to kill him, and it's not our friendship's end. So yeah, we went with that to our wedding, and after the wedding we also drove with that just to like a hotel or whatever. We didn't go on honeymoon, but we had like a place
How did
where
you
we
get to
slept
the wedding?
over. How did I get to the wedding?
Yeah.
My Volvo.
Classic.
Because
You already had the Volvo, though.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I had to drive stuff there as well, etc. So it was the
you
sensible
got married
choice.
quite a bit after we met you.
Yeah,
You've only been married.
No,
you've been married how
just
long now?
before I met you guys. Married since 2020,
Oh, okay.
2021.
Same, yeah.
No, I met you
Yeah.
before you got married.
Yeah, I
You
met
guys
you
were still
before you got
dating.
married.
Well, you guys were still engaged.
Yeah,
you were-
yeah. We were engaged. Yeah.
Because I
you're
remember
right,
when you
because
bought the Volvo.
Yes, so we got engaged December 2020. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the
You were already-
wedding was
you want to double
2021.
check?
Yeah.
You want to double check these
No,
dates
no.
before we
Yeah,
wedding
broadcast?
was
just so-
2021.
You may
Yeah.
want to write that down because
I can edit it and voice over it afterwards.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
you
can
haven't
fix
been
the
married that
dates.
long, but these things are kind of important to remember.
They can be like, we got married, and then Quentin can voice over 2021. And that's it,
Yeah.
just to make it sound like.
We got married in
I
20,
got it now,
21.
Yeah.
If you hear the beep, the date is 20.
I've got it now. It's 2021. I've got it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Sure.
I've
So
got
because
it. Yeah.
that's why I thought, because I remember you buying the Volvo
Yes.
and then,
Yeah, so
Cool,
I
man.
bought the Volvo in 2019.
yeah.
Andre, did they have matric back in your day?
Look, I mean, it was called matric, but we still used the abacus. But it was
Okay,
called
fair enough.
matric at the time. So for my matric farewell, so I went to my school's matric farewell twice, not matric twice.
Did you follow in my
I'm a bit like Nico in the way
That's an
that
important clarification there.
so I'm a bit like Nico in that I went to the matric farewell twice. I didn't go to matric twice. So when I was in standard 9, I got invited to be the date for someone that was a matric.
Whoa.
you know.
Punching above your weight
Yeah.
there.
No, it's a play
Oh,
as
man.
a game, man.
A gentleman doesn't say no. You know.
What was his
That's
name?
fine. It's un-PC to laugh at that.
That's very brave of you to do that.
So that was pretty cool. So what I got was a Alpha 155 twin spark.
Nice.
The white body one, the late 1998, 99 model. No, it was 98 because it wasn't 98 that I went to the thing. So it was like a white body, the touring car kind of one. Blue. Steven from Master Panelbeaters actually got one of those. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like a
Okay.
dark blue metallic
Yeah.
with the silver wheels with almost like yours with holes in them. That thing at the longest third gear. I probably some modern cars might be different, but it was a 5-speed box, I think.
Yeah.
That thing did 160 in third gear.
Nice.
in those days. That was
Yeah.
crazy. And it handled like, it was a pleasure. I think it handled great. So obviously I got to take it for a spin, before the trick for a while. I was cool. That Funksol brother, all the tunes, Footloose,
Oh wow, check it out.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
So-
Still wake up at night and then I'm
Ice Ice
that
Baby.
song.
Rock, 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 rock.
There we go. So those are all the tunes that went down. So that was great. And then when I was matric, I went in the same car again. So I went to the matric farewell twice with the same car. So that was cool. So then when I was in matric, I was allowed to go to the after party. Not with a car. I was back in Disprin. So I took the house keys and I buggered off with my white Toyota bucky. Took the house keys.
Before
started
you
the
had
car
the
and-
submarine.
No. My dad had the submarine at that point. So went with that. That was good fun.
So is that someone's car? Maybe I
And-
missed it now. Someone's got a car in town who had a 155, or was
Yes,
it you?
yeah. So it was a guy in
It was
town.
the
that
only
had
guy in town who had a nice car.
But it was only guy had a nice new Alpha.
It was the only other alpha in the town.
Yeah, it was a man of culture. He was one of the only guys that had a
Well,
new
back
Alpha.
then, stupid question, but where would you then take an Alpha to be serviced? Those days. Where would-
Bloemfontein.
Bloemfontein, okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, Bloemfontein had a big alpha
Yeah.
dealership, eh?
So it's about 4 hours away to Bloem,
Mm.
and that was the closest big town to us. Was Bloemfontein.
How many times did you break down on a 4-hour drive to the dealership?
155s were quite reliable.
You
I
just
think,
help
okay.
the
They're
Ford
very
guys
reliable.
next to the road,
Exactly. The only
You
time
never
you stop
broke
is if there's a guy with a rook and cook with an open bonnet with a Cortina.
Or you had to give them some
Granada or
oil,
something. Exactly.
Van
So-
ons ry donderdag, dalk ry
Oh,
ons
Vrydag.
vry.
So no, that thing was very nice. And then since then, I've also driven some matric farewell. I've driven once or twice. So the one that I drove was for friends from kids from karting that we know. So the parents were looking for somebody. One of our other mates, Rob's got the Maserati. So I drove my Alpha, he drove a black Maserati, and we took the two kids, it's twins. So one of the twins went with him, one went with me.
With you,
The one
yeah.
had a date, so he went with Maserati.
With
The one didn't have a
Maserati,
date, so he could go with me because I only had one seat. But that was good fun.
Top tip, kids. If you want to go in
Yeah.
a nice car, don't take a date to matric.
Yeah. If you want to go to matric farewell in a 4C, don't take a date.
Yeah.
That's some good advice. So that was good fun. That was about a year or so ago. And then the end of last year, it was quite a nice event. So we got to
I know
help
where we're going,
So yeah, Cobbs and Coffee arranged
There's this,
for the...
Yes, you can tell us.
Disclaimer: this was a very well organized. It was actually something very nice with it.
Yeah,
So you can give us the background of the.
through Cobbs and Coffee, I helped to organize. How many cars were there in the end?
What, 20 or so?
Yeah, it was
That
like
was about
15
15,
or something
20.
like that.
15 to
Quite
20
a bunch of
cars
cars.
to take all the matric students from the School for the Deaf in Weinberg.
Yes, I can't remember the name.
Yeah, in Weinberg
Dominican-
somewhere.
Yes,
Dominican
Dominican, yeah,
Republic.
Dominican
yeah.
School for the...
Not Republic.
Dominican Republic. It was one hell of a run.
I know we sometimes take detours through Mexico, but this is not.
It's like Vin Diesel all of a sudden pops
So
up
the
and handing
Dominican
everyone
School for the Deaf.
basically.
It's for family.
Yeah.
So we all did it, and Nico was also
yeah, so
there.
they were driving for all of the matrics
Yeah.
from the School for Deaf Children,
The
running
key
them
word
into...
here is deaf
So
children.
it was. We will come to that later. But what was cool is, I mean, there was a lot of guys from different kind of car groups and stuff that came out, and newer cars and older cars.
Couple of
Nico took his
Subarus.
Alpha. I took my Alpha. There were some Subarus.
some
and there-
BMWs.
and some
Yeah.
BMWs and
All
other
kinds of
cars.
stuff.
There was big Jag people, eh?
And there
Yeah,
was
lots
a,
of Jag
there was a
people,
Harper
lots
as well.
There was
and,
Harper, Jim went.
Jim
I think
came
the Jag
also.
people thought there was free lunch or something.
Lots of cars, no wallets. That's what I saw. Anyway, so it was really nice because these folks didn't expect it. The kids were really overjoyed, and it was kind of interesting because
Yeah, they were waiting for a bus to come and pick them
Yeah.
up, and then these
Yeah.
20 awesome cars.
Yeah,
turned
so
up.
very, very
turned up,
cool.
yeah.
So there's the one kid that he came up to the car. So I didn't know how it worked. We were kind of falling in a queue, and I thought we were going to stop it. And this kid was just knocking on my window, and he wants to get into the 4C, and I'm like, yeah, get in. But now obviously he's deaf, so So
And not
you know,
a bit completely.
no, so it's completely deaf. So but he was so excited about everything. So now I'm trying to, you know,
Make conversation without
Communicate.
making
obviously
conversation.
for him, awkward silence is not a problem, right? but I'm trying to figure out now what is the right thing to do. You know, how do I, you know, so.
Yeah.
I offered him a mentor, something I could think of. And then when we went away, and I'd give it a bit of wheelie so the car could pull a little bit, and then I'd look at him like, "Is it fine?" And I just saw thumbs up all the way, so that was great. But one of the funny parts was that when we were waiting in this line at the school, some of the Subaru crew started revving their cars like to the limiters. So they basically had a
Banging off the limiters.
banging off the limiters. So they made this huge noise, banging off the limiters, having a rev of making all this noise at a deaf school.
Just add what you two did as well. Did you two join in?
Yeah,
we did.
So this is really
you know what they say, when in the Dominican Republic. So that was a fun day. It was had by all the kids had a blast. We had a blast. It was really fun.
Somehow, so we going to a matric farewell. I've got a convertible vehicle there. The girl will climb into my car. So
So
now
I asked them about the roof because the girls got
like,
air, right?
yeah.
Like,
You
what's
know, so usually we would think, okay, cool, the girls would worry about their hairs or whatever. They'll go into the close top. No. This girl was just excited and
but I
not going
thought
to
you
the
only had a
Subaru.
button. You needed a button to close it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
what's
it's
the
an Alpha.
point?
It doesn't work.
It looks so much. It looks so much nicer without the roof. Like, come on, it's an occasion, you know. And for the people watching this on YouTube, you will see my brilliant sign language. I looked at her. I showed her a thumbs up. She showed me thumbs up. And I pointed to the back and I went like this, aka taking my head.
That's the universal
forward
signal
and back,
for, should I put the roof
Should
back
I
up?
put the roof back
Now
up?
put your
Meanwhile,
freaking hands up. And
She's thinking this guy's like ready to part.
Put your hands up in Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Or I said walk like an Egyptian.
and she also just showed me a shop, so I took it as it's fine, you know, so whatever. And then eventually I saw her like grab her hair a bit, so I thought, okay, let me open the sun visor for her so that she can look at her hair, because she tried to look at her hair
See how
from the
her
side,
hair's
right?
blown back.
But the spider's sun visor's mirrors is about as big as a girl's small piece of makeup. That circle.
So these
It's
ones,
literally the
so these mirrors at the cockatoo has
Yes, literally the one that
basically
that's
hanging
what
in the
I could do. So this was probably a mistake. So I showed her like, tiny mirror, but what can you do? So yeah,
Oh, it's funny.
so
at least
so that was
you
it.
guys had good intentions.
But
the
it
whole
was
way,
very
right?
cool. We
Yeah,
enjoyed
it
it.
was,
We enjoyed
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I
Eventually, I ran out of
unfortunately-
mentors to order to offer the guy, but
I unfortunately couldn't make it on that one, but I did get a very nice thank you message from the guy who was my contact on that side.
Okay.
And apparently the kids really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
That's
no, I mean,
that's
I
awesome.
would definitely
Yeah,
like to
it
do
was
that
fun.
again. We really loved
It
it.
was really fun.
One thing
And,
I've always thought about what would be quite cool also to do is I know in Worcester the School for the Blind does that road rally
Yes. With
Oh.
the
Which is
navigator.
with the
Okay.
navigator.
They've got
Always
braille
thought it's-
notes and then, that's actually quite
Actually
cool.
quite a cool
That's
event. and it's-
crazy.
Yeah, it's not
something
a
like that.
rally. So there are guys that do rallying, like braille.
Yes.
But this is like more of almost like economy run.
Yeah,
So you have to like say this is now after 10 kilometers. You know, left.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. You have, like-
It's basically just drive a
understand.
route and they get to navigate.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I've done that
So-
on the classic bikes before. Where they close your speed off, and then you have like certain points you have to hit at certain speed limits.
Yeah, but that's a very difficult one to explain to the police officer when
Yeah,
you
but
get
it's
pulled
slightly
over.
different. But this one's slightly different.
I
It's
was-
like them putting very dark sunglasses on and doing that. Still doing that.
That's crazy, man. That's honestly crazy. A lot of respect for anyone with a disability. You guys rock.
I think I probably got more requests to do matric farewells in my Lotus 7 than I did with any other car. But it was a very difficult car to do a matric farewell in
Yeah.
because
Because there's only
obviously
one seat.
there's only one seat.
There's no windscreen.
There's nowhere else where anyone could potentially sit on it
Yeah.
to just, go the 100 meters or so from the car park to
One
the entrance.
seater.
It's literally one seat and that's it.
My car's the same.
And it's also, for anyone who's ever been in the Lotus 7, I don't care how young and fit you are at matric. It's not a graceful car to get in and out of.
No, never.
It's quite the exercise to get in and out of one of those things. Especially on mine, where the exhaust was on the passenger side.
Ouch.
So you have to jump
Burn
out
risk,
and
yeah.
over the exhaust, and
Yeah.
there's burn risk. And if you had been driving in the car, your hair's going to look like you've been dragged through a bush
Like
backwards.
the lady that went with Nico.
the lady that
It's
Nico-
convertible.
the unfortunate lady that Niku drove to her.
If you're watching
farewell.
this for some reason, I'm sorry. And don't tell me they can't listen, they can read the captions. Don't come with being smart.
But another matric farewell that I did actually drive was with my Toyota 86.
Yeah.
Which, again, was a similar problem because
Did you get there on time?
I got there on time. Thank you.
It's like it's not like there's a problem in the mid range, so couldn't really like.
You got stuck on the highway.
No, the
Mid-range,
problem
yeah.
was actually that this guy said, I want you to pick me and my girlfriend up for our matric farewell.
In
So
the
I'm like,
96 is a bit tight.
I can do that, but, she's going to be tight in the backseat. No, she's quite small. She'll fit. It's fine. It's
But
not
he
a
needs
problem.
to sit in the back seat.
It's like, she sat in the back seat, and she was fine sitting in the back seat. But
But she has to get out
now
of the back
she
seat.
has hair this big, dress this big, in the back of an 86.
So it was kind
So
of encroaching
he
on the
arrives
front.
there, photo opportunity, swings the door open, jumps out like Don Juan, and she falls out of it like a wet pair of pants because she's tangled in her dress. I'm like, this poor girl's got to have a picture of herself
Falling out of a car.
looking like
Falling out of the
looking
skull.
like a semi-soaked meringue popping out of a car.
With the junior, I had quite a lot of requests as well to drive a matric farewell. And the issue with a junior is, Andre will know, the exhaust and the sump hangs super low. So you can get someone in the back.
But then you're scraping on the ground.
You scrape it on the
You're
ground.
seeing sparks.
You know,
It's
hectic.
like a Mercedes Formula One
And
in 2022.
I thought, okay, these two people I'm taking, they're quite lightweight, they're not too heavy metal. So took them or whatever. And as I'm going into the gate of the place, I basically beached the car.
Got
So
stuck.
the
So you
exhaust,
get out so I can
the
go.
exhaust literally hooked on the manifold.
Like a
part.
electric car.
I just went, it felt like I hit the wall.
Gung, gung.
And I had to ask them to please get out so I can just get over.
Or you just must start like
And
a
then
bounce. You
You're
have to
too
time
fat.
it right.
Please get out so I can move my
And
car.
then you can.
You should have had one of those Maybachs that jump up and down.
Yeah.
Bloemfontein was interesting for matric farewells. They really went overboard, and I don't know if it's the as you said, they've got nothing to do, or the reputation of like Gray and Unisia and Urania and whatever. But the one matric farewell, I went to look. So I drove a matric farewell in the E92 M3 as well for people, and my Spider as well, a few different cars. But the one that stuck with me is the girl and the guy flew in with a chopper, landed
Big belly money.
landed on the rugby field. The guy got in a Ferrari F430 Scud. That's one mirror is signed by Schumi and the other side by Alonso.
Huh.
And the girl got in a GT4 RS. And like that, they now convoyed from the rugby field to the entrance to the.
Look at me.
Bloemfontein,
Papa.
you've got
me.
that extreme, and then you've got the other extreme, which is fun. This is where it's fun. So you've obviously got the boertjies with the trackers and the horses and the
Back of
whatever.
a Hilux and
But let's call it the English side of the school. Machana, a E30.
Are we English or
straight-
Chinas now?
No, man. You can see you're old.
was it a ball?
I'm confused.
They used to come in E30s, straight pipe, sitting on the back.
Spinning it up.
spinning it up, making a huge entrance, and then that's in the
City.
same line that a F12 TDF is standing.
All sorts.
So it was the variety in Bloemfontein was quite crazy, but yeah,
That's cool.
that chopper with the Ferrari and the Porsche, I think, takes the cake so far from one that I've been at. I know apparently there's been a more crazy matric farewell, but yeah, it's really.
Quite something.
But it's
crazy.
really what did they say? Rukking handtight.
But it's more the
It's
cities,
getting
I
crazy.
find.
It's getting out
it's
of hand.
mental.
But I find it, especially I've seen it, with my nephew and my niece, when they send pictures from, they're in the northern suburbs. I find it when you go to the Platteland, it's probably a little less important. I mean, we just have a less of a selection.
But
as
the thing
well,
is,
right?
there's only so many
so
cars.
much- There's only so
Bloemfontein
many
is in the
cars.
Platteland.
No, but they
Exactly.
tend to,
You've got
they
like
tend to
at
try
least-
and be funny more than trying to impress
Yes.
someone. So
But
they'll like come on a tractor or on the back of a
Yeah,
fender
exactly.
trailer or something.
Or on a
Yeah.
donkey.
Or in
on a
a, in,
donkey.
in the back of a
Um,
hearse or something.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
that
would have
as
liked
well.
that actually. That
So
would've been
in
quite fun.
Kuruman, I mean, there was at that stage. I mean, we only had one robot, and Bloemfontein was the closest town. So I mean, we basically there wasn't much of a choice, right? So that was probably one of the cooler cars that I had, the 155.
The 155.
I mean, that was kind of if you had a 3 Series BM, maybe there was somebody with like a 535 BM or
Yeah.
you didn't have or like a Merc, say SEC or 500
Yeah.
or so. I mean, it's only like very limited.
Yeah.
I think there was a Porsche 928
The
somewhere.
population of the town's only 50, so I mean,
Exactly.
How much choice
So-
is there?
if that much.
So there's really, I mean, the guys with money would rather become with Land Cruisers. That's
Yeah.
what they spend the money on. So
But
there wasn't much of a choice, but we loved it. It was like,
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Big Bali money.
It was all about expectations.
Yeah.
For me, that was like next level awesome. In my life, I want to earn enough money one day to own a car like this. This is my ultimate dream. I can't see how it'll happen ever, but one day I want to own a car like this. That was how I
Yeah.
looked at it.
No, that's awesome.
I've actually driven more weddings than matrics, though.
Weddings, me too.
I've done more matrics than weddings.
But here's the thing. So I pretty much grew up in England for most of my younger years. And when we moved to South Africa, I started working in a restaurant. Had some friends there. And at the time, I had quite a nice car. And I was asked to do a wedding in my E03 320 diesel. Not the bride's car. She was in a convertible 328, but I was driving the bridesmaids around. Now, obviously, things here are done a little bit differently to how they're done in the UK. And things in certain areas of Cape Town, Melani, are done a little bit
Melani.
differently. Verstaan ze? So I didn't understand how this works. You drive them to the wedding, you drive them to the venue, and that's that, right? But there's also a detour that I didn't know about that apparently has to be done, where
Okay.
they
You drive
drive.
through the community, basically.
Yeah, you have to drive through the community, hooting
the
and
suburb.
honking, and everyone must come
Yeah.
out and wave and wish them luck.
I kind of like that. You
So
must do a tour
That
first.
was actually quite cool.
Yeah, I like that. Because
So-
otherwise people are all like standing there waiting for you to come and stop and people to get out.
You know what?
and it wasn't just like, people took an interest. It's
It's
not
an
like
event,
just,
yeah.
It's not like just two cars driving past going.
Everybody's out
whatever.
in the street. It's a big
Everyone
event.
comes out on the
I love
street
that.
and they're cheering and they're
very
clapping and everything. It was quite cool.
That's very cool. I
I
love
have
that.
no problem with that when you drive through the commute. But you know what? Like, my wife always laughs at me because every time I drive on the N1 or the N2 and you find these sort of moving roadblocks. And I always
Oh,
say
yeah, I
to her,
get irritated.
I always say to her, and no disrespect, it's either a funeral or a wedding. Because
Yeah.
then people will do 50 k's an hour
Yeah.
with their hazards on.
Yeah.
And I cannot take that.
No, I lose it.
I really strike. I must say, like, I when I drive, I was like, these people they having a lot of, maybe I must change my view, but they're either in mourning or they're having a lot of fun. But you are really making my,
There's
like,
no in between.
You're like riding my
But
gears.
it's not
like
really very
doing-
safe, right?
Doing
It's-
60
it's-
k's or 50
No.
k's
On
an
the highway
hour,
doing that is
120
not
k's an
safe.
hour.
And the other
like,
thing
it's-
is-
It's against the law, but
Yeah.
it's also not safe.
It's also very difficult to know how to handle this situation because you're joining or start passing from the back of the convoy.
Yeah, then you're
So
stuck
you're
in between the
hooting-
hearse
no,
and the
but-
family, basically.
But now you don't know whether it's a funeral or a wedding until you
Yeah.
get to the front. So you're hooting and waving and smiling, and they're all like,
Well, so,
"This
so
is so
you
inappropriate."
don't know whether you should look sad or whether you should look
And then you
happy.
pass the hearse and you're like, "Oh shit, sorry." So you feel like you almost have to back
Funny
down
wedding
the
call you
convoy
have
to go.
there.
Sorry.
But it's crazy. The funeral cars has become fancy. I don't know if you've
Have you
seen
seen the
like,
Porsche Cayenne? Or
Dude.
Porsche Cayenne.
Yeah,
It's
the
like-
Porsche Cayenne,
It's like a Vorschund, like a
Yeah,
but the
300C, they like the 300C.
The standard issue used to be the Chrysler Grand Voyager.
But I
Yeah.
mean, that's a normal.
And then
but
there's
that's not
like a
anymore.
Cressida station wagon was there as
that's
well.
The,
That
that's
was
the
the standard
bargain.
Afbop.
That's the bargain Martins
That's the
package.
Afbop.
Yeah, that's the
package.
Afbop.
Yeah.
That's not the upper premium. That's the Afbop
Yeah.
value.
Afbop
Yeah. Is the-
package.
But so then for my wedding car,
Oh yeah,
I-
Was it the same Alpha 155?
almost it was 156. So for my wedding car,
I'm destroying my microphone.
I wanted a 156 GTA. I just love a 156 GTA. So the car that I got was the late Brian Smith. He used to be the chairman or the CEO of Killarney for quite a few years. And he was also the chairman of the Alpha Club for a while. So he's like an absolutely mint 156 GTA. So obviously that was just I got driven there by, I think my mate just dropped me off there or someone, or my parents, I can't remember. And then obviously my wife came got dropped off with the GTA, took some nice pics of that, got some wedding photos with it. Love that car. And then afterwards, so we went on honeymoon. So at that stage, my car was a Alpha 147 Ti. So it's
Oh,
a
you had a 147.
It's a 147, but it's got the big wheels. Sorry, it's got a Zender. Mine had a Zender kit on it, and it had the wider wheels of the GTA size wheels on it. So it looked like a GTA, but it was a 2-liter.
Yeah.
It was wider. It was black sunroof, the GT seats in it with red stitching, but it was also quite low. It had Eibach springs. It came with the Eibach
Okay,
springs.
yeah.
So that car was hard on, like, if you don't drive on smooth tarmac, it was hard. And then, so we were going to Sutherland. We went to Sutherland for honeymoon around there, like in the Karoo. And then we took my wife at that stage, my wife's first car. She had a Hyundai Atos 2006. She had an Atos 1100 automatic.
Oh, wow.
So we took that, and that thing handled those, like, and we went to some farms and stuff there. That thing handled those dirt roads like a champ, dude. That was just, it was just
It was
happy.
gwang.
So yeah, that car we drove like, I don't know, over 1,000 Ks with the dirt roads, everything. So that was cool.
No.
And then in terms of weddings driven, I've driven Andrew Thomas when he got married. So I drove Chrissy to the church on time.
On
and
time?
then-
It was the only time Andre's ever been on
Exactly.
time.
I would hope you are.
and then when my brother got married in
What did you take? What were you driving then?
The 4C.
Oh, it was then you had the 4C. already, yeah.
and then I've only used the 4C as a wedding car. And then
But that can't be I mean, that's going to have the same problem as I had with the 86. It's not an easy car to get in and out of, is it?
not easy,
No.
but it's,
Especially not when you're in a full wedding gown.
yeah. So my sister-in-law is a physiotherapist, so at least she can she can evaluate
flexible.
herself afterwards and figure out what's aching after getting out. Yeah.
enough.
So when my brother got married, they got married in, I think, Robertson. Somewhere, I think it was Robertson. And then, I went through, and then it started raining that night when I came back from the reception thing. It's just outside of town, so it's a bit of dirt road. You drive slow, but then it was raining, so it was absolutely snotty, like mud.
Nice.
So my car was washed the previous day, obviously, so it was just
no.
mud. And that car on a good day, like, it aquaplanes like there's no-
Crazy.
so that thing on mud with those tires on, it was just
Vroom, vroom.
slip and sliding. I was doing my own rally stage at 1 o'clock at night, going riding back.
This is off topic again, but my wife's junior that she had, they lived on a farm road, and it was raining cats and dogs the night before, so her car stayed at my place. I dropped her off with like our SUV, and then the next morning I said, okay, I'll come drop your car off just because it was way too muddy to drive Junior there. And then the next morning she tells me, no, but the Beetle made it through fine. You'll be able to do it with the Junior. It's fine. Like, don't worry. So instead of approaching this cautiously, I believed I'm Colin McRae, and there does all our GoPros. Anyways, that's fine. Or it's this one that's just screaming. That one's still fine. Anyways, I believed I was Colin McRae, and I came flying sideways, thinking, okay, this is going to work. This is going to be perfect. I'm going to get through this mud. I'm going to get through this mud. And eventually it went to, I'm not going to get through this mud. It's running in its own trail. Oh shit, I'm stuck. And her dad that time was very cross at me.
Because you spun up the whole road?
No. Remember, it's like a public farm road. But I couldn't even open the doors because the mud was so up to the door.
Oh, wow. So deep
he had to walk in
the mud.
To hook the car up and tow my ass out.
Can I call you dad? What idiot that my
So the 4C is better at off-roading than me, apparently.
On a similar sort of vein to that story, I went out with a girl who lived in Gordons Bay at one stage in one of those little villages towards the back of Gordons Bay, like a little complex there. And I was there one night, and as it happened, one of my mates who worked with me at the time also lived in the same complex. So I would go to visit my girlfriend, and the two of us would go to visit my friend, and then I'd eventually go home. But we were at my friend Gideon's house, and it started raining, but not like normal raining. I'm talking like proper cloudburst.
Thunderstorm, the word.
The whole cloud just fell at once.
Fell.
And eventually it started raining a little bit lighter, and I said to the guys, listen, I'm going to have to try and make a plan and get home. So I jumped into at that time I had a daily driver, a Honda Accord. Very underrated car. It's actually quite a nice car. Jumped into it and drove out of the complex, and everywhere was just, the roads were like 2 inches underwater at least. 2 to 3 inches underwater everywhere. So you're driving slowly because everywhere you're driving, you're pushing up a wake, essentially. And I came out of the complex, and as you come out of the complex, you turn to the right towards Strand, and then the road makes a slight bend to the left, and then it goes down into a dip and over a little bridge. And I remember going around that left-hander and thinking to myself, I know the road dips down here because when I come here with my Lotus, I take it easy coming through there because that dip you lifted. And then I thought, I'll get through that. It's
How
fine.
bad could it be?
And I kid you not, I went into the water and it started coming up and up and up. And suddenly it went dark because my headlights went into the water.
Oh, my word.
And the water came over the bonnet, up onto the windscreen. And then the steering just went light.
Because it's going airborne.
Yeah,
It's floating.
It's floating.
Oh, my goodness.
As it started floating, obviously there's now no resistance on the front wheel, so it just went
You got
revved up.
Oh.
I don't know if it acted like a boat wheel or something.
It's like a hippo, like
or dragging itself
or whether
along.
it was just momentum carrying me across this dam that I had inadvertently driven into.
Oh, damn.
But I got to the other side, and I could just feel the front wheels go onto the tarmac and
traction.
Pull myself out of the
I think it's just the
other side
momentum
and
that
over the hill.
carried you through. Yo, that's a scary moment.
There was a very clenched moment.
Yes.
I think there's like a pinch mark on the leather seat.
Your motor was fine.
The motor was fine. The car was fine.
So
it's typical Honda. You cannot kill it. Even if you try.
I know a guy with a BMW had a 5 Series. I think it was a 525 or a 528, an E39, and E39 facelift. And he was in not at E39, after the E39, the M5,
E60.
E60. Yeah, I had one of those. And he stayed in Oudtshoorn or somewhere there in Durbanville. And there's also one of those places where there's a dip. And as he went through the dip, but not like, this, like this. As he went through it,
The whole car just died.
hydrolock.
Hydrolocked it.
Because the airbox sits at the bottom. So it just sucks the water into the motor and locks up the motor.
That happened.
Motor is a boat anchor.
Total.
That happened to a guy on a couple of years ago on our Z group, and they went through that typical drive through Slanghoek. And, they got to that little driffy there on the other side.
Yeah.
And he, with his 350Z, decided
I
can drive through here.
Because it's not that deep. Because it's like this deep.
Yeah.
But it's just enough to suck it into the airbox.
Yeah.
And then
the motor.
it's like gluk, gluk, gluk. And the motor's full of water.
Yeah.
And if it's hydrolocked, then you're screwed. I mean,
Yeah, the car's right off.
that motor's gone, yeah. No, that motor's
the
gone.
expensive boat anchor.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Like swimming in mud. How fun. The Alphas did the mud things and the Honda and Nissans did the
water
swimming.
things.
Yeah.
The water things. And the
I used
Dykwood also did the water things.
Did
all the water
things
things.
also.
And it never got airlock or anything. Because
And it never turned into a jet ski either.
No, but we're working on that.
We need to get this man into a jet
We
ski.
I want to
are
get drive a
working
jet
on
ski.
the
It's one of
jet
the
ski.
things I really want to do. Like, it's on my to-do list.
I've got the jet ski, we just need the space.
So there we
To
go.
drop a
There's-
It used to be on the dog's to-do list, but he's done it.
Yeah, exactly. He got there before me.
Damn it.
Roof, I can not happy now.
Right, guys. Well, all that's left to do is say if you went to your matric farewell on a helicopter, please get in touch. If you can one up a helicopter landing on the rugby field, get in touch with us and let us know exactly how you arrived. I mean, beamed down from the Starship Enterprise, I think, is pretty much the only way you're
Goodyear
going to
blimp
beat
or
that.
something, or like
Someone
a hot
hide
air
the
balloon.
Goodyear blimp.
Yeah.
Hot air balloon or something.
Or Scotty literally beamed you up.
Skydiving from an F-14 fighter jet with Tom Cruise, that might also do it. But let us know in the comments. Send us an email or just write it on our Facebook page
Yeah.
and let us know. But until next week,
Stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy.
that's it. We're done.
Very good.
That's the ball game. That's the ball game.
The ball game.
Ons wil net vir almal sê die rede hoekom ons op elke episode met dieselfde klere aansit is soos ons wil consistency hê. Ons wil consistency hê. Ja, nee, ek sê ons
Continuity.
it's like if anyone asks we're saving for a car budget.
Maar dis so 'n verwarring, ons kan dit actually